I watched a video talking about Gen X, the way they got screwed by everybody through every position and timing of their life, from childhood to adulthood to retirement, and they're still being screwed today. Uh, and yet, all the things they did to them has turned out to backfire against the very governments and establishments that did it to them. Payback's a bitch. And, you know, Gen X was the do-it-yourselfers, the teach yourself how to do whatever you want to do, fix it, repair it, don't cry and complain, just do it. They were loyal soldiers, they were good soldiers. They put in their time, they listened to their commander, they paid their taxes, they went to college and paid their student loans, they worked for companies and tried to collect pensions, and some of them didn't collect their pensions because the government, the organizations pulled the rug out from underneath them just about when they were about to collect their pensions. And, it was no emphasis on man hours and labor and what was put into creating a company. They let the workers walk away with $20, $30 an hour, and the CEO walked away with 50 million. Which still happens today, and all this stuff still happens today. But they're trying to reverse what they did because they're seeing the negatives to it. Gen X had an expertise that that AI doesn't have, and the kids today have no idea how to do anything. If it's not on their phone, if it's not on Google, it doesn't exist. I remember the old days when I was in school and we learned math. We'd say, well, we could just do it with a calculator. And the teacher's answer was, well, what if the calculator doesn't work? Then what do you do? And it was good advice, and today it's not followed. Today they pull out the calculator. It's like, and today's calculators, you need a class just to operate the calculator, and so it's very complicated, very intricate, and one problem with the calculator is once it's broken, you have to throw it away. And back in Gen X days, if it was broken, we'd fix it some way. We'd rig it. And your car was broken, they would come and they would fix it. Today, back then the owner's manual, you could build the engine with the owner manual of a car, but today the owner manual has the phone number for the dealership, and that's it. Just call the dealership. And so the fabric of society has been ripped out from underneath us and has changed. And the government that we have and the governments that we've had in the past have only made that more possible. But they want to reverse it now. They want to promote like this $1,000, the Trump dollars, to promote if you have a baby, they get $1,000 in there. I guess you can call it a 401k plan. And that's a bunch of crap. It's really bullshit. It's not enough for one. And, it's really just a gimmick. And Trump is full of gimmicks. His whole life is a gimmick. Your fight is a gimmick. It was a little gimmick. And this $1,000 is a gimmick. And, the real problem is nobody's going to have a child so they can get the $1,000. It's just ridiculous on its face. And, it's just, you need so much more because birth rates are down, and soon, if not already, there's more old people than there are young people, and that's just not good for society. In Japan and China and uh, I don't know about India, but Europe, all the countries in Europe, are all facing these problems uh, because they don't support they don't support children and families. You know, families been ripped apart by Match.com and Tinder and Grinder, and so it's just everybody's looking for the one date cycle. They don't want to go on a second date. They want to go on a one date cycle. And that's just not advantageous to anybody that wants to invest in a family and come home and find a Tinder date at the kitchen table that turned the wife on for 5 minutes or turned the husband on for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden their world is upended. Security is just not there anymore. Uh, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but lawyers getting involved in divorce and getting involved in children and the government. If you have a child today, you have to raise it by the prescribed government plan, and if you do that, you'll end up with a horrible child, and you'll end up with a stupid child, and it's just not the way to go. I won't have children no matter what, but because I want to raise my child my way, and my way is going to be the hard way. They're going to go through pretty much extreme things, and it's not going to be an easy road for them. And I would probably end up in jail, considering the model that the government would place on me, and that I would not follow. I'm not talking about beating them up, but I'm not beating them. I wouldn't beat them. I mean, not starve them, but I wouldn't give them a box of Twinkies and sit them in front of a TV. There's just certain things I wouldn't do. And, today's day, that's considered abuse. And today's model, the social workers and child psychologists have all gotten involved and wrote a book, and they destroyed childhood. They destroyed children, and they destroyed the family in their efforts to make a profit off the book. And their research, their reasoning for whatever they propagate in the book is a bunch of horseshit. It's just like the diet fiascos. Don't eat meat, don't eat bread, no fat, eat fat. I mean, every diet under the sun, and they all have to be different because nobody would buy that book if they're not. And the same goes with child rearing, and it's all crap. And it's all about making money, and that's why money is the root of all evil. Because people don't care about the damage they cause to the family; they just care about their new Lambo. And it's like, and the problem is that you, the viewer, buy it. You buy it. You buy the book. You buy the book. You follow the bullshit. And then you find out it don't work, which you should have known before you bought the book. But you bought the book. And you're not Gen X. Gen Xers don't buy the book. They can write the book, but they don't buy the book. And it's just a different mentality. They want more people to be like Gen X, but at the same time they don't want to be loyal to the ones that are loyal to them. It's like how many people go to the army and get hurt and they come home and they can't get benefits and they have to live a horrible life. They live homeless on the street because the army has used them and gotten whatever they could out of them and discarded them as yesterday's garbage. And all the politicians cry about, how they treated. But yet when it comes to voting for a plan to give them money or give them support, they vote against it, you know, or they put crap in the bill that makes it impossible to vote for. You know, so it's all a scam on society. It's all a scam on on your sensibilities and your logic. It defies logic. Um, you know, we just we're a use and throwaway society, and it's not a matter of what's in the kitchen or what's in our bedroom that we throw away, but we throw away our family members. We use our family members as much as we can, and then we throw them away. You know, and that's why we put old folks into retirement homes and assisted living, because we threw them away. It's like the stuff that you put in a storage unit. You just want to pay the monthly bill and know it's there. And sooner or later you'll stop paying the monthly bill and they'll throw everything away. And the same goes to your grandmother or your mother. You know, they'll throw away eventually. You'll stop paying the bill and that'll be it. You know, and that's how you feel about them. And it's horrible because they were loyal to you. They were good to you, and you were a piece of crap to them. And, you know, it's how you were raised. It's how your society raised you. You know, and, you know, you can't fix these problems by throwing money at them. You know, they should have, like some countries have, where women with children pay no income tax. I think women with children should have free health care, totally free health care. And the children should have free health care. And I'm not attacking men. I'm not trying to attack men. But women are a very important part when there's children involved. And, mommy's the king, the queen of the house. And I guess you can't say that about all mommies, because I know some pretty horrible mommies, my own included, that, I don't know. You know, that's the problem when you make a rule. It doesn't cover all the bases. It doesn't help everybody you want to help, or it doesn't hurt everybody you want to hurt. You know, and it hurts people you didn't intend to hurt, and that's why the Democrats and the Republicans still exist today, because they take advantage of those differences and those circumstances. You know, but I think we just become a very callous society. We don't care about people. Like I said, we throw them away like yesterday's garbage, and if we have no use for them, well, there's a new model. There's a new model. Like how many husbands have thrown away their wife of 30 years for a new model? Literally writes itself. So, it's just. And how many people throw away their old car for a new model? It's just, and a lot of it has to do with television, because television doesn't talk about, last year's car model. They only promote this year's car model, or the next coming year's car model they talk about, so you start hating this year's car model, getting ready to buy next year's car model. It's just, and television, and that's what the government and companies do. They tell you a vision, and you watch programs, and they program you through the programs and how to think and what to think, and programs' life is very short-lived. A movie is in the movie theaters for a very short time. And then they need a new replacement. Those seats are empty. They have to rebuild them to keep the movie theaters going. They have to come up with new movies. And now they're running old movies that people hopefully we'll go see, pay a movie theater price and popcorn price to go see an old movie, and then they're running two Avenger movies, the old movie that's already ran in the theaters, and they're running the new one, and they figure people will go see both, and whether that's true or not, I don't know. I think it shows their lack of imagination and their commitment to making money off a franchise. Halloween 35 should give you all the information you need. Rocky 6 or whatever. It's just that's where the money is, and they build a brand. And Star Wars 81. How many Star Wars are there? So it's just ridiculous. They really need to get their imagination in gear and start thinking of new things. And I know it's hard, and they're looking for that very short but very direct title, like a Star Wars title. Star Wars is very short, direct, nobody can forget it. And it's very hard to come up with something like that, just like when I come up with titles for my videos, I try to think of short video titles, ones that I haven't used already, and things like that, But, it's just that no companies are loyal to their employees, but they want their employees to be loyal to them, And the employees are like, go to hell, we don't care. They really don't care. They don't care about a company. Management might care, but that's it. And that's because they have the most to lose. But the employees, they don't care. They'll do what they do somewhere else. And like when I was an accountant, I wasn't loyal to anybody. You couldn't fire me because an accountant in Manhattan can't be fired. It's impossible. So it's just like a window washer in Manhattan. You can't fire a window washer in Manhattan. There's too many windows to be washed, So, and window washer isn't loyal to any building. It's like, oh, you don't want me to do it here? I'll go next door. It's not a big deal. So you have a lot of that. And I think the companies and the government have made their bed, and now they have to lie in it. And they have to admit that they screwed us, and they screwed themselves. And they did it all in the name of profits. The equity won and the labor lost. And now when labor wants payback, like reparations that the blacks want, which they deserve, companies that made the money and walked away with the $50 million paycheck, have to come back to the table and give some of it back. And all the companies that made the money off of slave labor have to give the money back. And I know it's not what they want to hear, but the truth is usually not what you want to hear.